morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome again to Vuforia Live. My name is Sam Murley, Worldwide Digital Transformation Director of Augmented Reality with PTC. I'm so glad you're here with us today, and welcome to the session in one of my favorite topics, driving meaningful business value with Vuforia. Today, companies and customers are faced with a level of unprecedented challenges, and augmented reality is more important now than it has ever been. Case studies and deployments in industry are proving that AR can dramatically impact strategic company initiatives and solve critical problems that result in real cost savings and new revenues, all while enabling business continuity during periods of extreme change. The one thing we know for sure is that on a daily basis, the future is changing, and the velocity of change will only continue to increase. And what AR means for organizations in the global workforce, how and where Vuforia Suite is creating real business value, that's our topic for today. We'll have time at the end for some Q&A, so don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat as we go. First off, let's consider what's happening in the industrial world around us. The technical workforce is retiring and at a rapid rate. They're taking with them the critical domain knowledge and best practices that they've gained over the course of their careers. And reskilling workers, transferring capabilities and proficiency within the existing workforce, it's a top challenge. And there's some data points that back this up. In the next couple of years, it's estimated that nearly 53% of the current manufacturing workforce will be eligible for retirement. And a recent report by IBM and Deloitte estimated that over 120 million existing workers will need to be upskilled and reskilled for different tasks. And if the internal challenges weren't enough, the external challenges and macro forces are just as compelling to succeed against. Products are becoming more challenging to service and manufacture. There are increasing number of configurations and product variants. In the places where workers work on these products, factories, customer sites, and service locations, they're all becoming inherently more complex. Finally, customer expectations are simple. It's immediacy. They expect the products now. How and where does Vuforia create real business value against these and other challenges and opportunities? Let's take a look at the typical and high impact value drivers Vuforia consistently improves. So looking across an organization's value chain, each of its functions have a unique focus and contribution. A constant across all of these functions for industrial companies are products, processes, and its people. And underlying all of that is transferring critical knowledge in one's enterprise and moving closer to a trend toward a more distributed, mobile, and agile workforce. AR allows organizations to transcend time and space, to rapidly share best practices out to the workforce, train people faster, reduce time to proficiency, and quickly cross-train new skills, all of which drives revenue and competitive differentiation. And when in use, Vuforia has proven to immensely improve workforce efficiency, improve quality and yield, reduce scrap and rework, and improve safety and compliance, in turn creating significant business value in a short amount of time. How does Vuforia impact all these areas? Well, Vuforia empowers frontline workers with critical and contextual information they need to complete the task at the point of work. The benefits of augmented reality can be immediately seen in worker efficiency and accuracy. How does this connect to business value? Increasing accuracy impacts quality, reducing returns and improves customer satisfaction. This improvement also reduces manufacturing waste as well as non-value added time within a services organization. Let's review how this plays out within an organization's value chain and the high impact challenges that Vuforia solves. The benefits of Vuforia can be felt throughout the value chain, especially when data and information, no matter where it comes from, is provided just in time and in context to frontline workers or your customers who need it the most. The sales and marketing function can immerse customers no matter where they're located with products using Vuforia Studio to generate revenue and increase retention, ultimately driving aftermarket sales up and at the high end on average by 70%. Vuforia has been proven to reduce mean time to repair by 95%, scrap and rework by up to 25%, and unscheduled downtime by up to 50%. and improve safety by 45%, all while increasing worker productivity by up to 60%. With Vuforia Expert Capture and now Vuforia Instruct, the manufacturing function is able to increase throughput by reducing cycle times and ensure cost of quality remains low and downstream warranty claims become non-existent. And as of late, we're seeing a lot of organizations create value-added services such as product companion AR apps and self-serve AR experiences with Vuforia Studio, Expert Capture, and even Chalk to ultimately increase reoccurring revenue. And when these capabilities are deployed and scaled, industry studies have confirmed an average 5% edge in year-over-year revenue improvement over firms without AR, which adds up quickly. And Vuforia Chalk allows service departments to connect with their technicians and even end customers to solve escalations remotely without having to dispatch people physically to the service location, which turns into up to 76% less service trips and improved first-time fix rates by up to 68% when they do have to go on site and need to phone a friend in AR. Less customer product downtime and faster customer resolution times increases the customer's outcomes and ultimately their satisfaction. And engineering teams can accelerate NPI cycles and reduce time to market by up to 89%, as some of our customers are reporting, through collaborative AR design reviews and the ability to quickly confirm next-gen products and manufacturing processes are in harmony. And these outcomes feed all the way up to the C-suite and enable organizations to create new revenue opportunities and drive workforce modernization while staying nimble and agile with industry trends and global demand. Now more than ever before, responding to customer demands and offering differentiated products and services is paramount to remaining competitive. What are we really talking about here? Well, AR is the most frictionless way for people to connect with information, insights, and each other. What's it look like? So on the left side of the screen, we see traditional information and instruction that comes in the form of paper documentation, training classes, and over-the-shoulder mentoring, and even face-to-face troubleshooting. None of these methods work that well in the best circumstances, but they have been seriously impaired in the new normal and aren't that great when we think about the next normal. Frontline workers need knowledge in order to do their work, and organizations will always have a desire to transfer knowledge and information faster. Augmented reality is one of the best technologies humans have ever created to facilitate the transfer. In an almost perfect way, it seamlessly blends data, machines, and knowledge together and acts as the conduit and connector between all three. When a human uses Vuforia, they immediately fire up experiential and behavioral skills learning systems in the brain. This accelerates the human's ability to consume and understand the information. Maybe it's coming from CAD or PLM or real-time asset information via Internet of Things. No matter where the data comes from, it's in context and improves accuracy, and steps are actioned correctly by the worker. And as you can see, AR turns just in case on the left and out of context to just in time and in context on the right. And the role of the AR platform in industry is becoming increasingly important. Companies want a platform that brings together multiple capabilities and ensure data remains secure. Up until recent past, content creation, ease of deployment, and scale were some of the most pressing Achilles heels for AR. It took time and a specialized group of resources to develop and then maintain. Well, not anymore. With the Vuforia product suite, organizations have options and can leverage business-ready AR tools that out of the box remove these bottlenecks while leveraging the benefits of SaaS. But how does SaaS and a true enterprise-hardened AR platform accelerate business value? Well, here are a few examples. Companies can have a diverse hardware endpoint strategy and ensure that the organization isn't bound to use cases that are only enabled by one set of hardware. The strategy can ensure that the same standard experience can be delivered on wearables and mobile devices while future-proofing against new head-worn devices that come to market. SaaS delivery ensures that content is delivered to the appropriate parties based on access permissions and business logic, and that new content, knowledge, AR work instructions can be created and deployed in hours not weeks and months. And frontline workers with the right permissions, of course, can access that content on any device and effectively perform that same procedure. This is important because it quickly makes the best practice of experts the standard practice for all workers, while conforming to enterprise requirements and reducing total cost of ownership to deploy and maintain. The power of Vuforia and SaaS allows organizations to focus on faster time to value and business outcomes versus IT infrastructure, and ensures that the resulting business impacts are sustainable and can easily scale without introducing new friction into the employee experience. One of our customers recently performed a study to measure some of these outcomes and paired augmented reality with one of their most complex assembly processes. And they really wanted to see if Vuforia could turn the best practice of experts into the standard practice for all workers. You can see how workers were executing here on two scales: time to complete steps and the accuracy of the steps completed, or number performed without error. It's a bit all over the map. We have two individuals who are in the upper left who look like they've done this before, but the other individuals are scattered. This assembly task is complex, and it's no surprise we see a range across time to complete as well as accuracy, because these workers are leveraging traditional forms of training and task execution. And quite frankly, are challenged when all they have available are tools such as paper-based work instruction, maybe out-of-date material, or not having experts available at all. Or they were trained on how to do this task months in advance, or not at all. And the cost associated or missed opportunity as a result plays out something like this. When this task is not performed correctly, it costs this company millions of dollars. Missed accuracy here creates scrap and rework, or generates costly customer returns when defective products leave the loading bay. This drives up cost of quality and ultimately impacts profit margins. If this was a maintenance task, taking too long to bring a line back up to operation results in increased unplanned downtime. On average, this is a $20,000 to $40,000 per hour impact, and for some organizations in the millions. And if this is a lockout tagout task or highly hazardous operation, poor accuracy could result in a safety event, impacting not only culture, but the organization's ability to bid on future work in a competitive way. Now let's look at what happens when Vuforia Expert Capture was used over traditional methods. It looks a lot different, and we see a tight and consistent coupling and all workers performing this complex task on time and accurately, which results downstream in 56% improvement in compliance and quality, as well as an 18% improvement in productivity. Vuforia Expert Capture is creating business value for this organization very quickly. Next, let's review how Vuforia is being used to unleash the value of the digital thread. This is all coming together for a customer of ours called Howden. Howden's engineering and product experts are in high demand as they support colleagues and customers around the globe. This worker, who typically receives a work order in paper, has just received a real-time alert that something is wrong with this industrial gas blower. They've put on their wearable hands-free device and are able to now leverage all sorts of data and rich information, combining CAD data with historical service info, as well as real-time critical information coming directly from the machine, made possible with PTC's IoT platform, ThingWorks. Just by looking at the asset, this worker is presented with relevant information related to current state. And it looks like there's a high temp alert and maybe a problem with a part. The tech can quickly diagnose, order the correct part, and repair the machine, all through AR while connected into critical business systems. What took days and weeks now just took minutes with Vuforia. What's also enlightening are the use cases and how each Vuforia product plugged in to solve the critical problems and bottlenecks for Howden, and how Howden was able to leverage the whole of Vuforia's benefits. And I really like this quote from one of our key stakeholders at Howden to sum it all up. Really, it's about scaling over 160 years of product expertise effectively and efficiently with AR across all parts of our business. It's great to go on some of those customer journeys, and what great stories they are, highlighting how Vuforia is being used to accelerate business outcomes across products, people, and processes. and how expert knowledge capture, remote assistance, and 3D work instructions can scale and impact multiple functions across the enterprise. Well, how do you put a plan to paper against improving your core metrics with Vuforia? You may be sitting there today saying, I have some similar challenges. These are some of my use cases too. Or maybe you're already have existing programs up and running and in place and are looking to scale up the impact and value with AR. Or maybe you're asking yourself, how do I build a plan that allows us to think big and stay agile? What you're seeing on the screen is an outcome here of PTC's proven, repeatable approach and method we've created to help organizations prioritize use cases based on business impact and value. And we can help create this view and value roadmap for you and your company, connecting what's valuable to what's feasible and what can scale, and then turn it into a compelling timeline and feasible value-based roadmap. Let's look at this example in more detail. This Vuforia customer and how they connected use cases to value opportunities and measurable business impacts across an entire factory. So who are they? Well, they're a global company, and they're rapidly changing the places and locations where work is performed, spinning up new factories and onboarding new employees almost at a daily rate. While at the same time, customer expectations and customer demand and demand for products and services are still there and relative, and they need to stay competitive. So where and how is Vuforia providing business impact? With their strategic initiatives defined, this organization was able to identify the most challenging bottlenecks preventing them from reaching their goals. They outlined 3 key problems that, if resolved, would provide a massive impact at just this single site on an annual basis. High costs associated with training due to the time and all-in costs to onboard new employees was one of them. High scrap and rework costs within some of their most complex manufacturing processes, and lower than expected OEE, resulting in poor throughput and ultimately missed revenue. All 3 are quite the gap. And with expert knowledge capture, on-demand AR, remote expert guidance, and 3D work instructions, this organization expects to improve key performance indicators, which stack up to some considerable cost savings, impacting the company revenues and costs. Not only are they reducing their reliance on costly third-party contract labor by $3 million, but they're also projecting a cost reduction of $3 million due to a reduction in scrap and rework, as well as improving uptime and asset availability, resulting in the capture of previously lost revenues to the tune of $1.5 million. Now this organization has a plan. They know what they can impact right now with Vuforia and what the immediate and future outcomes actually mean. And understanding future outcomes are just as important as near-term benefits. I mentioned scale a few times in this session. Initiatives which harness the power of Vuforia to solve critical business problems show early and rapid success downstream. What's this look like? Well, these programs are 20% more resilient, and resiliency could be against all sorts of volatility, new customer demands, a global event such as COVID, or an acquisition or merger. Vuforia becomes sticky when in use and highly relied upon by the workforce. These programs generate value by up to 40% faster, and adoption happens at a 4x pace. Because AR is the digital transformation of people, it tugs at the hearts and the minds within the workforce. Vuforia drives a people-first digital transformation, a differentiated employee experience, and the creation of more meaningful jobs. Sustainability and scale and an optimal employee experience with Vuforia, it's what drives time to first value and continued repeatable value. If you're interested in learning more on the topic of scaling and driving healthy adoption of AR, stay in the strategy track and attend the panel coming up next to learn from PTC's experts as they share best practices for deploying and scaling augmented reality. Organizations are embracing augmented reality as a catalyst and accelerator to bring forth new ways of working. Augmented reality has all grown up, and Vuforia is being consistently leveraged by organizations worldwide to drive digital transformation of its most important and valuable asset, its people. I hope you enjoyed this session, this topic, and I hope it gave you at least one new insight, one new action to take back into your organization to drive meaningful change and ultimately real business value. I'd like to introduce Mike Roy now, who's going to lead us through the Q&A. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Really, really awesome presentation. And to the listeners, if you have any questions you'd like to ask Sam, please type them in now to the session's Q&A tab, and we'll try and get to as many as we can. But there are a handful that we already got that were really good that came in while you were speaking, Sam, so we can get right into it. The first one here is around the economic impact canvas you had shared during the presentation. What are some tips that you can offer on how to action this plan once it is actually created? And can you offer up some best practices to follow once we have that business value mapped out?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, right, super important to map out a plan that has a few pillars. Prioritization on business impact, really the why. But the plan should also include specific locations and specific roles that will be positively impacted. And as you roll out AR, ensure that you have a plan and a method to benchmark the differences when AR is in use versus the old way, such as the customer study we reviewed in the session a few minutes ago. And then always, always, always execute an effective communication plan to frontline users. Communicate early and often to end users and bring them along in the journey with you very early on. And also make sure business stakeholders who are committed and interested in the results are updated as well. So a very cohesive, intra-connected plan that's focused on value, feasibility, and scale, and proving that out and communicating across all of the user base that is involved or interested.
Awesome, understood. And we also have a couple questions here regarding the Howden video example that you shared, where you highlighted the advantages of augmented reality versus those traditional methods that were used prior. Could you talk a little bit about how Howden and organizations in general are realizing the business impact as a result of swapping out paper manuals for AR?
Yeah. So Howden is a great example of really unlocking the value of the digital thread. Another one, though, that comes to mind is Volvo and how they're realizing the impact and value as a result of their initiatives with AR. So by improving training and quality control with Vuforia, they were able to convert the improvements into thousands of euros saved per workstation per year. They reduced days of documentation, publishing, and costs associated into just minutes. And probably my favorite result, they increased their competitiveness around employee recruitment and attractiveness. It's just one example or another example, but a great one because the outcome hits on the hearts and the minds.
Got it. And we have a piggyback question as well. In that, the impact canvas that you had shared, the expected and potential impacts, do we have proof points, those percentages? Do we have proof points to back those up that those plans were met?
Definitely, yes. And actually, there is a great case studies website at ptc.com that's categorized by product and solution as well as industry. So whoever asked that question, which is a great question, yes, they are. And yes, go check out those case studies, find the one that interests you. And obviously, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us on the PTC team if you'd like to go into some more details. Do we have any more questions, Mike?
Yep. So this one is a really great one. It comes up in almost all of our customer calls, so I'm sure that it is a fit for most of our audience. But the question is, as companies start to think about where to use augmented reality, would you recommend training as the initial use case?
Another great question. I think training can be a great use case. So to take a step, kind of a step back, I think it's always good to align the use case of AR against your highest impact areas, challenges, or opportunities. If that's training, then yes, of course, training people faster and more accurately is a great use case, but it may be focused on driving operational efficiency within factories or service optimization, or your most compelling challenge might be to differentiate amongst the competition with a new offering in the market. Whatever it is, go there first. And for some organizations, that's definitely training. I think training is also interesting because of the immediate and then downstream impact. So with AR, yes, you can train people faster and more accurately, but the knowledge they retain and the ability to recall that information downstream within various organizations globally has been shown to improve quality and accuracy on the factory floor. So not only about reducing training time, but delivering that content in an experiential and spatial and 3D way means that the mind and the workforce will retain what they've been taught and what they were trained on months and months after the fact, which I think is another great result. So kind of level one, level two, but again, to take one step back, great question. Always go where you've got the most compelling challenges and business problems to solve. And for some organizations, that is training.
Understood. Awesome. Thank you for that. And I think that is all that we have for time today. So I'll kick it back over to you for some closing comments.
Great. Thanks, Mike, for navigating and managing the Q&A. And to everyone who's joined, thanks for joining the session. We hope that you enjoy the rest of Vuforia Live. Again, hopefully there was one thing here that was very knowledgeable and advantageous that we talked about in this session. Have an amazing rest of the day, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.